Hey guys, so on this 25th anniversary of Street Fighter, I think it's clear that Street Fighter is more than just a game. It's a whole universe of seemingly unlimited characters and storylines and creativity. And a big part of that was the SOTA action figures line, considered the best in Street Fighter and one of the best in action figures in general. Jerry Macaluso was the sculptor and founder of SOTA Toys, the company that produced those. He's since sold that company, but I wanted to sit down with him and talk to him about the history there, how he got involved, his love for Street Fighter, which characters were made, which characters weren't made, which characters were nearly made. So I hope you enjoy it because it's a big part of Street Fighter's history.
The origin of my involvement with Street Fighter goes back to, I want to say, 1999. A company called Palisades Toys, which no longer exists, was negotiating the rights for Street Fighter to do action figures. And my company, SOTA Sculpture and Design, was talking to them about sculpting them. So we were going to sculpt them for Palisades Toys. Palisades and Capcom couldn't come to an agreement. For whatever reason, I don't know the details, they couldn't come to an agreement. And the deal fell apart. The person who headed up Capcom's licensing at the time is a great guy, good friend of mine named Mark Mosman. And Mark came to me and said, why don't you do the Street Fighter figures? You were going to sculpt them anyway. It just so happens that at the time, we had just started our first line as SOTA Toys, which was Tomb Raider, Lara Croft. We felt, yeah, okay, you know what? We're ready for this. We can do Street Fighter. The funniest part is that I went to the action figure websites and Toy Fair magazine and all these places, and I was like, hey, we're thinking of taking on Street Fighter. What do you think? And everyone said, oh, Street Fighter's dead. Nobody cares about Street Fighter. The last game bombed, and nobody cares, and blah blah blah. And don't do it. Don't do it. It's gonna be bad. And I was like, wow. I didn't realize people thought that. To me, Street Fighter was, what we call an evergreen license. It's something that, is always going to be popular. It's so well done. And then Paul Nomad, who used to run an action figure website, he was the one action figure journalist that was like, Street Fighter is still there. It just needs, if the product is good, the fans are there. They're just tired of crap. And you look back on Street Fighter figures, and they weren't the greatest. So I kind of understood that. Anyway, we took the deal with Capcom and started sculpting Street Fighter figures. We did 4 full rounds of Street Fighter action figures, 5 characters per round, and then we did Gouken. So we ended up with 21 figures. After I sold the company, they did 1 more round. That's a sizable chunk of the characters from the game. I mean, very few properties get that kind of treatment with that many characters. You think, okay, Masters of the Universe and things like that, but it wasn't. It's not a lot that get over 20 characters made. As far as how many exclusives and versions and variants, I couldn't tell you. We did a lot. We would do 3 or 4 different colors per character, and then sometimes we did some 2-packs. We did the translucent bison in a 2-pack. We did Bloody Saga with Bloody Ryu, and Capcom was so upset about that. We got such a nasty phone call because Capcom was like, you can't represent the characters as bloody. That's not what Street Fighter is all about. Street Fighter it's more of a pure, it skews younger than something like, let's say, Mortal Kombat. And Capcom just doesn't want the characters represented in that way. Well, they're bloody in some of the earlier Street Fighter 2 continue screens. They do show the characters with blood, trickling down the corner of their mouth, bruise, stuff like that. So I just assumed it was okay. I never actually went to Capcom and said, hey, can we do this? Because to me, it didn't seem like a big deal. Anyway, so I forget how many of these Ryu versus Saga 2-packs we were supposed to make, but it was a couple thousand or something like that. Anyway, Capcom blew their lid and was like, no, you have to stop, don't make any more of these. And so we did. They're very rare. I have a box of them, but yeah, I think they're pretty rare. But they're pretty cool. I mean, you know, they're the only Street Fighter product in existence, as far as I know, that has blood all over them. My favorite character is Oro. And yet I've never made an Oro figure. We actually sculpted one. It just never got produced. But so it's funny that I've never made one. But as far as the ones that we have made, I have a weird taste. And it usually skews towards character design as opposed to who the character's personality is. So, you know, Sodom I love his design. I love that he's a football padded samurai. So, you know, when everyone else was, I remember when we first told Capcom the lineup for Series 1, it was Bison, Ryu, Chun-Li, Scott, and Sodom. And Capcom was like, Sodom?
It's true.
Why would you want to do him? Like, he's a Final Fight character. I just think he's so cool looking. And I was like, you know, if we don't do him, he's never good. No one would ever expect this. You know, and I tend to like to do the unexpected. So I sculpted him personally myself. And I'm so glad we made him because I still love him as a character. Anyway, we prototyped Rolento and a DJ. Both characters I love from a design standpoint. Sadly, they never were released. And I wish I had those prototypes, but I don't. Another one of the ones that I personally fought for and loved, you know, that people were totally unexpected was T-Hawk. You know, what a cool looking character. You know, I just, and what's funny is we knew he wasn't popular, but he was also going to be one of the more expensive characters we made. So it was an awful business decision, but creatively, I'm really happy that we did it because I think he's one of the best characters in the line by far. And we put so much thought into doing all the leather trim on his costume as separate pieces and all of that. It was a lot of fun. Sakura, you know, I love doing her because she has such a great story that you add all these little things like her shoe that always kicks off and her bag of books and that she's one of those characters where it wasn't the look so much that was appealing to me, it was her story. Gouken was not officially part of any round. Gouken was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive figure. And the reason is because Gouken was never, back then, remember, he was never a playable character. He wasn't even really canon. He wasn't really officially part of the Street Fighter universe at that time. And it took a while for me to get Capcom to say, okay, you know what, you can do a Gouken. So when they did, then we were like, yeah, all right, let's do Gouken, but we're not going to put him in an official line. We're going to kind of give him his own little deal, and I think he came out great. I'm really happy with him. I keep forgetting, one of my favorites that we did is Cannon Strike Cammy, which, again, I think that was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, and you know, if you're a Street Fighter fan, you know who she is. But how cool with Cammy and her rocket skates, and you know, no one thought we would ever do something like that. It all goes back to that SOTA. We always wanted to do the unexpected. We always wanted to appeal to the fans, but then we always wanted to do something for the super diehard fans, something they never expected anyone would do.